Welcome to In It to Win It. This is Steve Barton, and thank you for tuning in. We are here with Danielle DiMartino Booth, QI Research. Danielle, thank you for coming on the show.
Great to be here.
Yes, let's start out like we always do. What is your macro view of the world economy and financial markets today?
I think what we're doing right now is watching, with the macro data, we're watching history be rewritten. The magnitude of the job revisions, which I had said were coming, have arrived. And we're now learning that instead of 2.3 million jobs created through the end of June of 2024, it was actually 737,000. And that's for the full year. So we know that we've got slowing momentum. We know that the bankruptcies are running really the fastest since the great financial crisis, and that household bankruptcies are now starting to pick up as well. Of course, U.S. GDP is 70% consumption. And I think a lot of U.S. households right now are saying that they're hurting. And that's what you're seeing with a disproportionate percentage of companies coming out with their earnings and guiding down. And we have a much higher percentage of that than we have historically. And with companies saying we're going to miss on our bottom line going forward, we're going to miss on our top line going forward. And that's indicative of the fact that the U.S. consumer is very stretched.
What I hear you saying is fuzzy math.
We've been dealing with fuzzy math for a few years now.
Yeah.
So from the perspective of, it wasn't just a matter of the noise introduced by the pandemic, which introduced a ton of noise into the data. It was also the fact that we were dealing with statisticians with very bad models who were politically motivated to not release the true data. And now they're going to be equally politically motivated to release the real data.
That's where I was going next. Okay, so you feel like what I'm hearing you say is you feel like they've been kind of curbing some of the data to fit their narrative. And
well, I mean, we've had negative revisions to private payrolls since January of 2022. If I remember correctly from Statistics 101, that's impossible.
Yeah.
So yes, whenever you get to something that is so many sigmas you can't count in terms of the probability, yes.
Okay. And what changes do you see coming now that we've got a changing of the guard?
So again, I think we're going to see more data be released that validates as opposed to refutes what the average American has been seeing. The flip side of that is there's so much housing that's coming onto the market, so many apartments. We've got a half-century high of apartment supply coming online, and only about 50% of those new units that are coming out of the construction pipeline are actually being rented. So we're seeing very rapidly in the Cleveland Feds, which is a kind of a real time metric of housing inflation, we're seeing that come down rapidly. In fact, it's turned negative for new rents. That's going to filter through to falling inflation, rapidly falling inflation, shelter inflation going from 5% to 2% in 2025. That's a 40% input into the Fed's favored inflation metric, meaning we're going to be talking about falling prices in 2025.
Okay. And you really have an insight into this. I love your book, by the way, Fed Up. Perfect title.
Thank you.
Well, it was fantastic. Really gives you an insight into how calculated all the speeches are, and every single word is chosen perfectly. What do you see coming with Trump and Powell? Do you see a changing of the guard there with Powell?
No, I mean, we don't really have enough time to discuss Supreme Court precedent, but it's near impossible for him to get rid of Powell before his term ends in May of 2026.
Okay.
Because the Federal Reserve Board, given constitutional precedent, can opt to keep him in his position until the Supreme Court rules on the constitutionality of firing the head of a federal agency.
Okay.
So he's kind of stuck with him. His new Treasury Secretary, Trump's new Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, has said that he could make a move to appoint a shadow Fed chair, who then the public would listen to, knowing that Powell was a theoretical puppet. But the first opening of a position on the Federal Reserve Board does not arrive until January of 2026.
Okay.
So we're with Powell for a long time now.
Okay. All right. And do you see them sticking with another 25 on the way down?
Yeah. At the time of the September 2024 FOMC meeting, Powell said, we're paying attention to the QCEW. The QCEW are the revisions that I mentioned that took private job creation from 2.3 million to 737,000. But Powell's already said we're watching them. So if they're watching them, they know that the momentum in job creation is actually turned into a reverse motion. And so they'll be paying attention to that. And you've got more doves who are rotating onto voting rotation in 2025 who are going to be dissenting and dissenting hard if these rate cuts stop in the middle of what they know to be job destruction. It's really against the central bank playbook.
Yeah. Okay. I know you got to run. Thank you for your time. If our followers want to get a hold of you, follow your work, how can they do so?
So you follow me on Twitter at DiMartino Booth, and I'd love to have you on my Substack, DiMartinoBooth.substack.com.
Okay, we'll put links down below. Thank you very much, Danielle, for coming on the show, and thank you for tuning in. Be sure to support the show and share this with anyone that you think needs to hear it. It's probably your buddy that can't stop talking about tech stocks. You have yourself a great rest of the day, and we will talk to you next time.